Playing. Yeah, I mean, the fun thing, I was really sad last week because of the whole incident on
You're
Thursday.
referring to the assassination of Charlie Kirk, right?
Yeah, yeah, I was so sorry, guys. I'm trying to figure out this camera. Hold on. There you go. So yeah, I was really upset. But all right, we will talk about it later on, I think. We have a special episode coming on Monday, I guess. So we will be doing that. Anyways, how was your weekend, Chris? Oh,
Um,
sorry, it's almost the end of the
yeah,
week.
yeah. My week, it was
How was your
okay.
week?
It's all right. It was kind of like a mix of being productive and not productive. I would think
Okay,
after turning 30, that switch and being this super responsible adult would have turned on, but meh, only halfway there. Work in
okay.
progress.
Work in progress.
How about you,
That's-
Saffron?
Well, I had a great weekend, and I was in Vegas, and just to celebrate my birthday. So it was fun. Yeah, it was a great, and I mean, I have been hearing stories that Vegas is slowing down. I felt it. It was pretty low key, but they had the fights over there. Crawford versus Canelo boxing.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So
Were you there?
no, no, we were planning to go, but things didn't work out in a way that we wanted to do. But anyways, but we did watch the fight. It was awesome, and
Yeah, it
I
was a
was
good
in a
fight.
place where a bunch of everyone was supporting Canelo, and then I was the only person supporting Crawford, and then everyone went crazy. I'm like, he's American. I'm gonna support him, and I like. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's the
he's knocked
spirit.
out. He is in the knockout stage. That means he hasn't lost 42 fights, so he's at the prime. So I
Yeah,
think
and he's
Mayweather is
impressive
like
because
53. Huh?
he's not young anymore, Terence Crawford.
Yeah, yeah, but he's on the way to it, break the title like Tyson, and he's in he's getting into that league.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I thought it was funny how many Canelo supporters were there in the United States.
were you watching the
Uh,
fight?
I saw it a few days ago on Netflix.
Okay. All right, gang.
And you wanna write it down. Would it kill you just to listen? And you wanna sell it out with the words out of your position. Hold on. And you wanna see the break of dawn. Brush your hair back from your face. You won't see me when
Thanks for joining us on Every Degree Matters. I'm your host Saffran Minhar, and I got my co-host Christian Mortality, and we officially both of us turned 30. So we're gonna talk about what life brings you when you turn 30, the past 30 years, what has happened in our lives, what we have learned, and then we're also going to talk about what we expect in the next decade, to go from here. So, Chris,
Yeah, so I turned 30 on the 5th of September. Saffron only about a week after that, so we're still quite new to the 30s club. Um, but yeah, it's an interesting time. It's I feel like it's kind of the moment I can't call myself a young professional anymore. It's kind of this point where we're out of our
hold,
20s.
hold on. Let me go to prop. So according to the UN, you can still be young. They say 35, so you can flex a little bit. I
Yeah,
give you
it's
your
flexible,
pass.
but I mean, yeah, I don't know if I give myself a pass though.
Oh, okay. That's not on me.
Yeah, I mean, I think even in some countries it's up to like 40. But yeah, the
Okay,
definition's
that's
all over the
weird.
place. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, regardless though, I think, once you're out of your 20s, you got to start planning more, for your future. And so, yeah, it's kind of like where I'm at right now. I'm just trying to think, I wouldn't say pivot, but I'm trying to take more seriously some things like investing or enterprising or these kind of future, financial plans a bit more seriously.
Sounds interesting. Yeah.
But so that's kind of like my only major commitment so far, after
Mhm.
turning 30 is, sit down, find some time, look into, how to make investments, how to plan for your future, and yeah, maybe, look into some potential enterprising or, you know, just, change things up too, try new things as well. Because you always have to improve, right? Always learn and always grow. I don't know, Saffron, what do you think? Like, do you feel any major changes now that you're 30?
Yeah, I mean, I have shared with you a lot of things that has happened to me in the past 3 weeks or so. I feel like it's a awakening call for me, especially within my family, how things have moved and gone apart, and I have things I have learned about people who are closer to me, and I think a lot of things have will be changing, and I came to realize I think I have to be a little bit more selfish for myself, and still you can care for other people, the closed ones. At the same time, you can also be self oriented in some cases where you can develop yourself and be a better human being. And I think I'm going to invest more on me, which I have been doing in the past year or two, and also continue this moving forward. But at the same time, I learned a lot of things about trust. I learned a lot of things about how to manage a lot of situations in family, how to manage a crisis, how to manage a financial crisis, how to manage when people are talking bad about you for no reason, like how to it's family dynamics, you know within extended family and close family. So it just woke me up at the very core level. So I'm happy for that, and I thank God for every day, and I'm blessed being 30 and being in the greatest country in the world. For me, a lot of people could say a lot of stupid things, but it's still the greatest country, and I feel like there's a long way to go, and I it's just I love it. I love it. And what are the changes like? How do you see what kind of changes do you think? Yes, of course, in terms of financial wise, I have already taken steps to I have invested in a lot of portfolios across the board, and those are pretty set. The one, what do you where you see yourself, like, are you planning to take any big changes on your career, or do you want it to take the changes?
I think, inevitably I would like to maybe not shift the field, but shift, my position to something a bit more substantial, a bit more permanent.
Mhm.
Because I kind of work on an independent basis mostly. So, I think it would be nice going into this, 30s to 40s, to get more just general life stability. Um,
Okay.
it's good to be flexible, when you're in your 20s and stuff, but eventually, life's
You want to
gotta
settle
force you to
down.
settle
Do you
down a bit.
feel,
Yeah.
I mean, I have asked you this question pretty offline, but are you considering, have you come to a conclusion that Thailand is going to be your country of stay?
Yeah, so I mean, still kind of currently, um,
Exploring?
yeah, yeah, um, not quite sure yet, but
Okay.
it's possible. Yeah, I mean, I do enjoy my life in Thailand. Like you said, United States is the best country for you, and I enjoy my life in Thailand as well. I think it's a comfortable place for me, socially. Like any place, there's pros and cons.
Yeah,
But
but I'm
yeah,
asking for you.
for me, I mean, there's many things I like about Thailand, but then there's also, of course, some of the other barriers. Like we talked about this in one of the other podcasts, right? About becoming American is not really a matter of ethnicity or, it's not a matter of where you're from and stuff. Like in essence, in spirit, any true American should accept any other person as an American.
Yeah.
But it's not really the same in Thailand. It's like you'll be a foreigner here. even if you have legal residency and stuff, you're still kind of like divided between the foreigners and the locals. So that's also something to consider. But I'm comfortable here. But yeah, still exploring.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that's a nice way that you put into perspective is that how do you want to explore the options and keep it always open. I always keep it open. I like to, live in other places and explore things. And it's fascinating to see how life goes when you turn, when you're a kid, you turn sweet 16, right? Is that what they call? And
Yeah.
then you call, and then what is it called? 18, and then 21, you become an adult, official drinking age, and then you're out in the field, and then when you hit the 30, they say dirty 30. That means like that's the 30 point here, and I'm like, oh man, that's like just I was like, okay, I think one of the things that okay, let me ask you and then let me give it. Is there anything that you would have changed in the last 30 years?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because I was just thinking about this the other day. Like, I never really thought when I was a kid, like, where am I going to be when I'm 30? I always thought, like, what am I going to do when I grow up? I never really thought about
Mm.
like where am I going to be when I'm 30. So now that I'm here, I'm kind of wondering as well. Like, what would I have done differently? Um, and I guess the first answer would be nothing because, this is my life and I'm happy with how it's gone and the journeys I've been on. And I don't know if I would swap it. This is my own unique journey. But, like if some part of me, could just separate objectively and just look from the outside and say, Christian, wow, you've really screwed this up here and you royally screwed this up there. Um,
Screwing up is fine. I mean, it's part of learning. I'm just asking something that
yeah,
you did, like you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Like,
yeah.
like big things.
Well, I
Screwing up
mean,
is part of learning, right?
I think maybe I would have invested myself more into a career that has a bit more hard skills.
Okay, that's a good. That's okay.
For
That's a
example,
good.
I always think it's great when people study science and engineering and these type of things. Personally, I never felt that I had the aptitude for it, so I never applied myself to it. I kind of always assumed that I would fail if I tried, so I never really tried. But that's probably what I would have, probably one major thing I would have tried to do differently. And if not sciences and engineering, something also, like hard skills, like electrical, I wouldn't say electrical engineering, but also like, things, professions where you work with your hands, for example. These make good money. Some of these professions, and they're very useful.
Yeah, yeah,
They're
yeah.
very tangible. So some people they might look down on a career like a plumber, for example, but it's a fine career.
No, yeah, no, no. That's
So
true.
you don't even necessarily have to study, mathematics or sciences or engineering to, have a hard skill, useful and rewarding career.
Interesting. That's an interesting
But I don't
take.
know, Saffron. So when you were 15 or 8, did you ever think about like where you were going to be when you were 30?
No, but I did have an idea when I was 15, 16. I did wanted to do something. I always had this thing I wanted to do something to the people. So I always had this thing that never changed. That I was, a people's person, like try to do something for the people. And I what I would have changed, what would have been nicer for me was if my dad was there with, if my dad was there when I was growing up. He was there, but he wasn't really there. So like I wish he was more there for me, so that I could have spent more time with him as a teenager, or as any grumpy teenager with dad. But still, my dad would have been there. And then maybe when I become an adult, I would have changed. 21, 22, I think I would have changed. I did change, and losing him profoundly, like at that period of time, it was really hard because I lost him when I didn't I lost him when I was 26, so it's not I was young. But before even 26, I wish I was with him a lot. Or he was there for me. Small things which I kind of missed that I did have enjoy it. That was pretty sad. And but on the other time, I wish I have learned a lot of things when I was young. Or I would say the other thing that I would say that I was healthy, I was conscious of what I was eating. So if that was, I was, I would have been thin. So that's one thing I would have, two things that,
Yeah.
I wish I had my dad with me. In the sense like he was there, he was alive, but he wasn't there with me.
So your
So that's
father
something.
was living in France at the time?
Yeah, he was living at the time in France, but he was oftenly there visiting us. It's a kind of a different dynamics. That's why I always
Right.
say for uh when you're born in a difficult country, especially a country like Sri Lanka, your economic means you're trying to fulfill it, and then they go outside. The father always leaves the country in many instances, and they provide for the family, and then they miss out a lot of things. And I think it's a blessing and a curse. Is that the right thing today? How do you say? It's a curse and a blessing. That
Yeah, I
means
think you could say that.
we I didn't have him with me most of the time in my childhood, or even when I was an adult. I would have now I want to give that to my kids. So the blessing is I learned it in a hard way that I should be there for my kids, right? The curse is he wasn't there for me. So,
Right.
I don't know if I put it right.
No, that makes perfect sense. Yeah.
So, and then in parts of health wise, I mean really trying hard to lose weight. I have lost a lot of weight, but it's just really hard, bro. It's just not something
Right.
really easy to lose weight. I wish I was thin. I wish I didn't eat the foods that I was supposed to not be eating when I'm young, and now I'm paying the consequences in the
Right.
sense
And
that
once you pass in the 30s, right, it becomes even harder to lose weight and to take care of your health issues. And
I don't think so. I
depends. It
don't.
depends.
It depends. I think no. You could lose. It's just that uh, it's very easy when you're young because the discipline is easy. You just don't eat it. And now it's really hard because when you're young, you don't have a lot of things to do, right? So when you're older, you have to work, you have to cook, you have to do laundry. So you have to do a lot. You're packed with things in your day-to-day life that also consumes time for your
Yeah.
existence. And you have to sleep, and you have to waste time on your phone. That's also part of the deal. Whether we
Yeah.
like it or not, scroll through TikTok, or I don't use TikTok, scroll through X, Twitter, whatever you can call it. So yeah, that's or sometimes watch Instagram. It's just that
Yeah.
I wish that someone would have tapped me and said, dude, you got to lose your weight or stop eating. Then I would have been in a
Yeah.
much better place.
Well, I mean, you're looking great now, Saffron, if I can say.
Oh yeah, I'm getting ripped now. But
But
it's
I
just a
think,
hard journey.
yeah, it is. It is. It really is. I mean, recently I've been going to the gym like 3 or 4 times a week, and man, it just takes a long time to see results.
Oh, you have to have patience. That fat that's been there with us for like 30 decades have to get melted. It's really hard.
Yeah.
So I'm trying. I think I'm almost there, and I think I we could do it, Chris.
Yeah,
I have the
absolutely.
faith.
No
Yeah,
doubt.
no,
No
no, we
doubts. I
can do
mean,
it.
part of turning 30, it's not about being negative, it's about being positive too. I think that's the most important part. Is you got to look forward to what's ahead.
I think so. I think what I have learned is that it's also part of being fun. We have 30 years we have lived. We have gone through shit. Like, oh, come on, we can go through another 30. I'm just saying, like,
Yeah, yeah.
what worse can it happen for both of us, right? The things we have gone through. The only except different things would be getting married, having a child. It could be that could be a big part of life. Apart from that, I think it's just if we can ride the 30, you can go for the next 30. There is a nice song that I listened to most recently. I think I shared it on my uh, TikTok as well. It's called "My Next 30 Years" by Tim McGrew. It's a great song. He's
Sorry,
talking.
Tim.
Tim McGrew.
Okay,
McGrew. McGrew. Is that right?
got it.
It's
Um,
called My Next 30 Years. Where do you see in terms of spirituality, where you at? What have you learned in the last 30 years?
Good question. So, I mean, my name is Christian, right? So you would logically assume that I'm Christian. But, I was raised Catholic, but not in a very
Did you go
religious
to church
household.
on? Okay.
Yeah, my father for a period of time would take us to church on Sunday. Then I think, after some time, he kind of stopped. Which, I think I was okay with because it became very repetitive. That's kind of just like they say the same exact thing every single time.
Okay,
So
so okay, finish
but
talking
yeah,
then.
so like I'm not the most. I mean, I don't consider myself an atheist, because I cannot prove or disprove the existence of a higher power. Just I can't, and
You-
and I do respect spirituality. I do respect religion. So I'm not out to dismantle it, or to criticize it, overly criticize religion. Of course, there's criticisms to be had in how people practice, but there's also good things to be said about it too. So the last few years I've also been trying to explore as well, like a little bit how I could try to connect a little bit more with religion. So maybe I don't think I'll ever be very religious, but I still want to make a stronger connection with faith. For example, I've never read a page of the Bible before this year. So that's what I mean. Like I wasn't really raised in a very practicing Christian household. We would go to Sunday school, but they didn't teach you anything at Sunday school. They made you color pictures of sheep and stuff or whatever. So I've actually never read a page of the Bible until this year. So I'm trying to make that connection myself. And yeah, I would like a little bit more spirituality in my life. And this was all part of self improvement. Um, you know, I'm trying to improve myself and I'm trying to connect, on different levels, including spiritual, and see where that takes me.
That's
Yeah.
an
So, I
interesting
mean, but
point
but
of
are
view.
are you are you are you are you practicing your faith, Saffron?
Yeah, of course. I do practice. I'm not as again, I'm not a very religious person, but I know a lot of things about my religion. And I also came to a conclusion that a lot of religions are interconnected. So that's the fascinating part I'm learning. So these days I learned about learning about Judea, Jewish religion, and then I know about Christianity. Uh, so I think it's I would say of course we have to go to Friday prayers. I do that, and but again it's repetitive. Then I came to a conclusion that they all tell that because we always forget as human beings. It's just they wanted to make sure that we are reminded. It's not when I was young, I was like, what the hell, they're telling the same shit again and again. But then again, when I get older and older, it just makes me think harder and like, oh, that's the reason. Oh, that's why it is. I think uh, I, I feel like I could be a moderate person. I am a moderate. I believe in God. Uh, I believe in that there is a creator, of course, um, and you can't. And I believe that a lot of things in world are meant to happen for a reason. And I feel like um, religion has made me really strong and also be independent. So That's a great thing about believing in God.
Right. That's actually
And
very interesting that you say independent, because normally people would think that religion's very controlling. It's about groups rather than individuals, but it's also about like personal connection, right?
it's about how do you see it, Chris. The good thing about me, I'm a crazy cuckoo guy in the sense I always, you know me, right? I'm always out of the box, right? I always think something different. I always try to say, I always when my mom always used to say this when I was a little boy, I think 7, 8, 9, or like always had this thing about, I always had this tendency of why, like, why is it happening? Anything that happens around me, I'm like, why? So that curiosity, has really intrigued me and changed me, and I have learned a lot of things because I always will, if there's something happening that I don't know, I'm like, why is it happening this way? Why can't it be that way? Like, any instance you take it. And then I read the famous book of Jordan Belfort, the Wolf of Wall Street guy. He says why. That's the big why. Like, why, where, like, so one of the things that he asked about, like, why. So I think because of that, how I made myself existence in this world, I saw that religion was something will make you be independent from everything else and make you a perfect person.
Yeah. Um, but sorry, just to touch upon this thing about why, I think that's a really important thing for kids to do is to ask why. I think that's a really great trait to have when you're a kid. Always be curious and
Still
asking
have
why.
that.
Yeah, and you should still have that, but I've also noticed, like, as I've gotten older, that's become less about why and more about how. Like, how do I do this? How do I do this? It's always on my mind and something that, plagues me all the time because I feel like sometimes I just don't have it, the things that I want to do, achieve, and I
You,
just don't know how. But maybe I need to take a step back and sometimes ask also, why? Sometimes a bit more than how, because I feel
yeah.
like I'm losing that a bit.
You gotta be like, that's what I learned. And I met a lot of people in this country, and met one of these guys, and he said that if you don't push yourself, human natures are built in a way that we have to be challenged with problems. We have to be challenged, especially man have to be challenged. So then only you'll get out of the comfort zone. So the more you're challenged, the more you're put into this tough position. You go through that thing. Your brain has to work in a proper way. And it's amazing and fascinating that I saw this new what do you call, limited series that I think I referred to this last week with Chris Hemsworth. In Disney. He has released like 4 episodes. It's called Limitless, and the first episode that they're talking about is how he challenges his brain. He turns 40. He turned 40, and how they challenge you. You got to challenge your brain so it will work much better, because brain is a functional organ, right? It's not like you have to use the brain. We are only
Yeah.
using 5% of the cerebral capacity. There's a lot of things that human can do, but we are not doing, unfortunately. So we have to make use of it. And then when you get older, you also try to lose this cognitive decline. You also try to lose memory of what happened. So Chris Hemsworth talks about how at 40 years he's trying to learn a new instrument, for example. How he can, so both side of the brain works. But circling back to your topic, is that I always growing up, like, I I didn't want to be comfortable. I always want to be uncomfortable. I always had that. Like, if everything was perfect, something is wrong. That's
Yeah.
my theory of growing
So
up.
the way that I see it is, like I said, you can be flexible in your 20s. So like I was very fine in my 20s to be uncomfortable. I think the older I get, the more I want to be comfortable, but I still want to be challenged. So I think that sometimes the difference between like I want to be challenged from a place that I feel like I have a position of strength. more so than I want to just be completely, like thrown to the wolves in a sense. So I think like in my 20s, I was fine to be like thrown in there with the wolves, trial by fire. But I think now I'm kind of more interested in, I still want challenges. I don't want to be comfortable in that way, but I do want to tackle these challenges from a position of strength.
Okay, yeah, that's a good way to take it. I always want to get uncomfortable, but the other thing I want to be is that I want to be comfortable when I'm going on vacation these days. That's like I have changed. Like I don't want to be rushed out. Like that's a big step I have taken. Like no rushing. Only one or two places in a day. Can't go on forever and ever. So I want to
Right.
relax, enjoy the surrounding, enjoy everything. And if not going like pop 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 pop, like faster in life. But I
Right.
think it's also the important thing that you learn. I always say people that it's not about getting from A to B, it's the journey, right? So it's our existence. Every day is a living day. Every day you have to enjoy. That's part of life. Being happy, and surround yourself with people that you really like. That's the most important thing. Second, you have to surround yourself with people who will motivate you. You're the average of the five, they say. So you have to have people that always think. I didn't have that. That's the other thing that if you ask me that I wanted my kids to have is that have friends more that are more challengeable. Like they are more empowered. They're like they want, let's do this, guys. Like they don't have to do it together, but at least they have everyone is grinding their way in a positive way, so they all like challenge themselves. Okay, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, let me move 20 quid, 30 quid over there. So like talking about money, finances, hitting the gym, they have those goals. I wish I had those friends, like that
Yeah.
empowering friends.
Right. I mean, and you can waste an incredible amount of time with the wrong people.
I mean, unfortunately, I wouldn't say they are in the sense like they are great people, but they were not made. They were not suitable for my
Yeah.
thinking and my brain. So you have to be right.
Yeah.
And no, everyone is
Um,
great. All of my friends are great, but I think they were not suitable for the way I think, the way I do
sure.
things. So I'm always challenged. Like I'm always crazy in a good
Right.
way.
So recently I had to give a presentation at an event and I had very limited time to prepare the presentation. It was kind of last minute. So that also forced me to make it very succinct and to not overthink things. And also, the topic of the presentation was about sustaining impact, so creating and sustaining impact. And I'm not really much of an expert when it comes to like project management, project development, project implementation, right? Because I've mostly supported these things, well, as in a supportive capacity. I've never really been the one to go out there and do my own project. So I kind of was forced to think about it not so much technically, but more elementally. Like, what are the elemental components to impact? And inevitably, what I ended up speaking most about was about people, the importance of good people, working with good people, working with like minded people, having shared goals, shared visions, commitment. And also, like, the importance of networking, but not just networking for the act of networking, but being a teacher and being a learner at the same time. So like having these really strong human connections was really ultimately the primary message that I wanted to make. And it actually, I felt like at the time it was not a good presentation. I didn't have a lot of time to prepare it. I didn't feel like I was qualified to speak. But then I heard the feedback at the end, and it really did speak to people because it makes sense, right? We need people. People need people. We work together. We improve with each other. We learn from each other. Um, and speaking about faith as well. So I mean, this was an event that was run by a faith-based organization, and then they were really happy to also hear some of these messages and how it really resonated with the way that they work and how that connects with their faith as well. So I thought that was really nice. Um, this recent experience, and it kind of really reminded me again, the importance of people and good people and being with the right people.
That's the key thing, man. You gotta be careful with who you associate with, who you think. I made a huge mistake, but it's fine. It's part of learning. they're great people that are there with you, but the people I have around with me, it's just that I wish people that are closer to me are more driven and more they want to be succeeding in life. So, and they want to be goal achievers. Doesn't matter what how old they are or what age they are. Age is just a number. It's all about whether how impactful you are in your own life and what changes are you going to bring to your own life. Warren Buffett started way late. And look, he's like the top 10 billionaires list, right? If you look at Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC, he started at 65. At the same time, if you look at President Trump, he became the president at very old age when he became the first president, first at the first time, even entering politics. Or if you look at Obama, he became the youngest president. And I also don't worry about timelines. I always think that if things that are meant to happen to me will happen, I'm not going to rush into it. So, but I will move in the direction that things that I want it, things that I want to happen. I want to make sure that happens to me in the next 10 years. Like one of the goals that I have is to get married and I have kids. Have kids as much as kids I want to have. Like that's like my goal. So if I can have 7 kids, if I can, financially provide for all 7 kids, yeah, I'm going for 7 or maybe 9. Like that's how I want to be able to
Round it up
be a
to
dad.
10.
What?
You can round it up to 10, yeah?
No, no, I don't want to have equal numbers so they can all round up and against me. So I always want to have that one slice so that it's always uneven. So there's one. So that's that. Just kidding. But I feel like if I get married, if my wife she's okay with it, I'm just gonna have baby after baby after baby. I'm serious. Only if I can afford. So I'm also cautious about that too.
Right.
So that's something that I really wanted to do. Something that I mean, I have thought about it. It would have been a good idea for me to get married when I'm younger, like 27, 26. But then again, I also feel like, I enjoyed my life being alone. I learned a lot of things in the last 5 years of my life, and it went so fast, and it was a fascinating 5 years.
Mhm. Well,
Plus, of course,
actually, so interesting point about time being fast. Do you feel like time is getting faster the older you get?
no, the time is different for everyone. So that's the theory of time, right?
Not so
You don't
much.
know. So I think the famous quote, time is relative. Let me find it for you. But it's a theory from Einstein that he says how to measure time.
Yeah, unfortunately, like I said, I'm not much into the sciences or mathematics.
No, but it talks about um so so he says that hold on, where he talks about so time is relative to each people. So everybody is there in your own timeline. You can't say time is the only thing that doesn't have you can't measure like oh man. I don't know. It was a great thing about time. I think it was an
Well, we'll find
interstellar.
it. We'll put it in the description, I think.
Yeah. So they talk about the fundamental. Okay, so that's not the thing. Let me see. Let me see. That's time for individuals.
Yeah, I was just saying that because that's one thing I want to do also in my 30s is I kind of want to slow my life down a little bit. I feel like my perception of time is rapidly accelerating.
Huh?
and it's a little bit concerning. So I really kind of want to slow down a little bit, at least in terms of my like how I perceive time, how I use my time.
So time is the so time in my understanding, everybody the time, even the time, it all runs according to you. It's all individual based. So it's not a common thing. It's not a common constant. So it's all differs. So for me, the last 30 years have gone faster. Sometimes it goes slower. It depends. I think time. The other thing is that time always speaks, and I'm pretty much to that. I agree on that aspect of life, and time always heals. True, true. I have learned that. And the other thing is that you have to have patience. That's something that. But when you say time, I don't understand what you were trying to say. You want to slow down in the sense like you don't want to be rushed or like where.
It's kind of like I feel like a week now feels like a day, and a month feels like a week type of thing. Like
It's
I
just
close my eyes and open them, and the week is over.
only if you think it in that way. That's what I'm trying to tell you. If you stop thinking in that way, it will be different for you.
Yeah, so
Trust
that's like
me.
I think it has to happen in here, right? In my
Yeah.
mind. Like
So
that's what I
time
mean by
is
slow it down. Like I need to slow things down in my head.
in your head, and then time is yeah. It's relative. Is relative. So time is very slow. You can make your time slow. It all depends on how do you want to move it. So that's why I think maybe when we are happy, the time is fast. Maybe when we are excited about things, time goes faster. And then sometimes you remember when you are in a place that you don't want to be, time is very slow. Have you noticed that? Like
It
when you
used
are
to
at
be
work,
well at school was mine. I used to
yes,
dread like oh
at
my god,
college
I would
and
look at the
school,
clock
yeah.
all the time and it was be like
Oh God, 3 o'clock. But then again, at the same time, when you are having fun, you don't want school to end. Like when you're on recess, like when you're going to meet your friends, have fun, like maybe in college, like that's that period of time you're like, oh man, I don't want to miss it. Like so that's fascinating about time, how it moves around you. So
yeah.
it's a constant. So
I also wanted to ask, do you have now that we're old, quote unquote,
I don't
do
know.
you
Oh, Chris, we are just beginning our life,
yeah. Do
young
you
at heart.
because like everyone who's 30 that I know, they're either complaining about physically about one of like four things: back pain, neck pain, knee pain, or like finger joint pain. Do you experience any of these?
No,
That's good.
because I don't I think positive. So I don't anyone can say the only things I learn is life experience. Let's say if someone will say, hey, when you hit 30 you got to get married, like some things that when they say, yeah, I kind of agree with that. But in terms of health, it all depends on how you are and how you are ready to move, how you are functional. It depends on each people. But that's what they say. People really get stupid that you're not supposed to go and play football just once in a week,
Yeah.
or you're not supposed to go and play pickleball once a week. You're not supposed to play uh, tennis once a week. That's bad for your health, because you have to make sure your body is trained. You're exercising, you're moving all your knuckles and wrist and arms and everything. So it's physically fit, because it all depends on how much your bones density and the strongness of your bone. That's why you can see when you at the for example in UFC or fighting, they're very strong. They can take a punch and they're still strong, because your bones become, you have to make your bones stronger. So people who don't do that, yeah, they will suffer a lot of pain
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And people might be fat, their health. The only thing I would always say, take care of your diet. So that's like the key thing, what you consume.
Yeah, and what you were saying was like you wish you had taken care of that aspect when you were a little earlier, younger. And for me, it's kind of I wish I had improved my posture when I was younger.
Mm.
Because for the last 10 years or so, this is not when I turned 30, the last 10 years or so, I've had kind of just never ending back pain. It's quite miserable. And a
No,
lot of
but
that's,
have
I
you
think, just
done the
because,
gym? I got out of the back pain because I did went to the gym.
yeah, I know. I mean, it does. I've tried different kind of exercises and stuff, but I think it's just because most of the day how I carry myself. And because I used to lack confidence a lot when I was younger, so I would kind of slouch a lot. And this is one thing my grandparents would always try to tell me. It's like, hold your head up high, be proud. And it's something I wish I had done more because it would have improved, I think, how I feel in terms of my back, but it also just how you feel as a person, right? Like when you stand up straight, trying to do it more, and when you stand up straight and you feel more confident, you feel better. It doesn't make you arrogant, it just makes you feel better. It makes you stand tall, it's that's one thing I'd wish I had done more when I was a kid, just have more confidence in myself and how that physically manifested.
Yeah, I had a big hunch in my back. I took it out in the last 3 years. 2 years, yeah.
Nice, just from the gym or
Yeah, yes, I also drive a lot, so I always put my seat in my car a little front. So like I'm like this, so I'm not relaxed. So that helped me to change the position. Plus, I always sit straight up, and sometimes I could go like this, but right now, like I always have my back attached to the chair, like seated properly. And yeah, I always keep my chest up, and I have almost, it's gone. You can't even see. So I
nice.
think you could do it. If I started 2 years ago, Chris. So that's not a.
Mm-mm.
It's just here you gotta fix it, and then you have to run. Maybe get a good chair. I invested on this chair. It was kind of expensive, but the way the chair you sit, and
Yeah.
then since you're getting older now, as you say, not me, you maybe wanted to look into that. But I think I feel like the it can all be changed. It's not something really hard, guys. So get a good
Mm.
chair, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Get a good economical. What's it? What?
Yeah, and honestly, that's probably one of the better investments you can make is in a good chair.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I have certain things in life you have to make good chair. One of my friends told me you have to have good scissors. I don't know why he told me that.
Scissors?
Yeah, you need to have scissors in your life. So always have I bought a good pair of scissors. I don't know why, but every time you gotta cut stuff when you're cooking, when you're doing something, it makes sense, right? When I look at back
It
and like,
makes
it
it
makes
makes
sense.
sense.
You need to have good pair of scissors. Then I always say you need to have good pairs of chair and a good pair of shoes, because shoes are really important, because the ankle, the if you have to have this clinch, like the scoop in the
Yeah,
that makes you how you it all depends on your balance. So if you invest on a good shoe with a sole, is something you can also I
right.
learned it.
Yeah, I used to work at a shoe store, so I remember be helping the customers try
Where
to find an
at
optimal.
Dick's?
No, it was an outlet somewhere in Western Massachusetts.
Okay.
Um, but yeah, I remember kind of like the process of trying to get people the right shoe, the right fit for their profession, for the shape of their foot, for their whatever. It was kind of it's interesting actually, the process.
It's an interesting process, but all right. Anyways, guys, we thanks for listening to us, and it's a very, I mean, I would say, if anyone who is listening to this have turned 30, or they don't feel old, it's just a number. And it's just the beginning of everything. It's always in your brain how you think it. It always never give up in life. Nothing is impossible. I watched the recent Emmy Award winner, Owen Cooper. He's only 15, and he talks really passionately, and he says, 3 years ago I was nobody, and today he's the youngest person to ever receive an Emmy Award. So that gives you, it has to motivate you wherever you're listening from, to do good and to make sure that you can be a better person. Always when you wake up, I always think, how can I be a better person as yesterday? Like, how can I be better than yesterday? Simple steps you take. And then you always surround yourself with people who are like-minded, or people who are not even like-minded, but at least they are driven. They have something that they are driven, that also will make you driven, drive whatever you are doing. So whatever you're focusing on, whatever you're challenging, always challenge your brain. The more you challenge your brain, the more you will get good results, because the brain needs to be working. You can't have a non-functional brain. So that's why people get really, sometimes people say like, oh, I'm getting old. So it just, you don't, when you do the same thing again, again, and again, again, the brain is not working. It's just using the same muscle memory. So brain is not doing anything new. So you got to teach the brain to do something new, and put it to that rough, to your brain, not physically, maybe physically as well. So that's what my take is. And always enjoy every bit of life. If you're not married, get married if you can, have kids if you can. And that's the advice I always give people. And love your God, Jesus, Muhammad, or Judea, like whatever. Be be connected to your faith. And that's what my take, after being living in this world for 30 years in different parts of the world. Yeah. And Chris, what is your final take?
I I don't have much to add on to that. I think it was a nice summary. But yeah, I wanted to say happy belated birthday again to you, Saffron, and to anyone in the audience who might be turning 30. Love to hear your thoughts as well about what you've learned and what you recommend for life going forward. You can always leave that in the comments. Great to know. But yeah, no, I think that you really captured it nicely, Saffron. And again, happy birthday, and looking forward to another 30 years.
Yeah, another 30 years. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. And Monday we have another exciting episode. I mean, we will be having a special episode with related to what has happened to the recent incident. Charlie getting shot and whatever has happened, and we will be talking about it on Monday. So stay tuned for that. And this is your 3030 podcast episode. And until then, take care, guys. This is Saffron and Chris from Every Degree Matters.
Kill you just to live.